So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, aren't you glad that God doesn't leave us the way we are? So I wore a Superwoman t-shirt for 25 very successful years. During my professional career, I spent every day being on. I would leave my house at 7:30, take a leisurely drive to the office. I'd pull up at 7:55 and get out of my car. And as I took that walk from my car up the sidewalk to the front door of the clubhouse where I was activity director, I would subconsciously take off my street clothes and put on my Superwoman t-shirt. When I walked through that clubhouse door, I was no longer a reserved, sometimes silly, kind introvert. I became an energetic, excited extrovert. The t-shirt became part of my regular wardrobe. I began to wear it often. I put it on for parties, and sometimes it was even part of my church attire. I'm saying all this in hindsight because I never even knew I owned a Superwoman t-shirt until the Lord showed me. I remember being at an event. I was engaging with people in conversation. I was reaching out to ladies that I thought looked lonely. I was kind of going around the room to see if there was any needs I could meet, when very clearly the Lord said to me, "This isn't who you are." And I remember repeating in my head, "This isn't who I am, then who am I?" It so took me by surprise. "You created me to be this person. You've confirmed it time and time again that this is who I am. How could this not be me?" I was really shocked, and it just caused me to withdraw from the group. I didn't know how to proceed. So I just kept thinking in my head, what is he talking about? I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy chatting with people. I'm drawn to ladies that I think look like they feel uncomfortable. It's important to me to let people know they're valued and they're wanted. How can that not be who I am? I remember stumbling through the rest of the evening, eager to get home and spend time asking the Lord, what are you talking about? And I didn't get it at first. How could doing things that I like doing not be me? I asked over and over. What I discovered was that when I felt overwhelmed or insecure, I would become the energetic, excited extrovert who loved people, instead of the authentic, reserved, kind introvert who loved people. I was on, I was performing. I was doing the things that I love, but not from a pure heart. I was doing those things to be liked and valued by others. The t-shirt became my way to hide my insecurities. It was hard for me to accept at first. In the past, I had judged people who I thought were on or who I thought were in performance mode. I would think to myself, why are they so into themselves? Why don't they just let God freely use them? I thought they were arrogant, but I was wrong. I learned that their performance, like my performance, was based on insecurity. I was afraid of not being accepted for who I was. I incorrectly thought that if I put more effort, energy, and excitement into my area gifting, it would make me better. It would make me likable. But instead of making me better, it made me exhausted. I was using my gifts in my strength, not in his strength, and it wore me out. Understanding what the Lord was challenging me with and putting into practice were not easy. I definitely was not an overnight success. I asked the Holy Spirit to help me, to show me when I was in performance mode or on, and when I was authentically being myself, and of course he faithfully did. In the weeks that followed, he often nudged me. Sometimes he'd stop me in the middle of a sentence, and he'd let me see that I was compensating for feeling insecure. He showed me that my motive was to bring attention to myself, and that didn't honor him. So I would make a quick mental adjustment, take a deep breath, and start the conversation again. I don't know that the people I was with ever even knew that there was a change, but I was determined to come back to the conversation being authentically myself. I remember going to a ladies' event. I pulled up in front of the host's home. I got out of the car, made my way to the front porch, and as I stepped onto the porch, I recognized that I was putting on my Superwoman t-shirt. I was once again becoming energetic and excited and extrovert instead of who I truly was. I wanted to cover up my insecure feelings, hoping others would talk to me and be glad I was there. So I rang the bell, determined, now that you've shown me, Lord, I'm going to just be authentically myself. So I rang the bell and I walked through the door, just being me. And I got into the room and I just got my plate of food like everybody else was, and I found a seat with 3 other ladies at a table. And I sat down and we had just the most enjoyable conversation. And I just was really able to engage with those ladies. And it was a time that I was authentically myself for the whole evening. And it felt so good. I have such fond memories of that day because I think that was my transition day. So focusing on myself and performing to hide insecurities is energy draining. It's become one of the signs I look for. Am I full of insecurity before I enter a social setting? Am I exhausted soon after I arrive at an event? Do I care more about what others will think of me than I care about how God might want to use me or connect me with other people? These have all become keys for me. Prior to this revelation from the Lord, I seamlessly seemed to go from insecurity to performance without even knowing I made a transition. Now that I know the signs, I have become aware of the point in time when I have the opportunity to choose. I have the freedom to go with my old ways or to choose his ways. When I am in that moment, I have discovered that what works best for me is to take a deep breath, which I did before I got up here, take a deep breath and remind myself that I am valued and loved by the Lord, and then I'm free to just proceed and be myself. Thank you.